I honestly never thought I'd be the person posting my life's drama on the internet, but I'm sitting here in an empty apartment with nothing but a mattress and a laptop, and I need to know, am I the villain here, or did I finally just stand up for myself? Imagine finding out that the family vacation of a lifetime was actually a carefully coordinated plan to leave you behind while your sibling lived it up in luxury. All because your parents decided you were the one who could handle it. I want you to listen to this and tell me honestly, was I wrong for what I did next? Or would you have pulled the exact same trigger? It all started about 6 months ago when my parents, Sarah and David, sat my younger sister Maya and me down for what they called a major family announcement. For context, I'm 24 and Maya is 21. I've always been the reliable one, the one who worked through college, paid my own car insurance, and never asked for a dime once I moved into the small 2-bedroom house I rent from my grandmother. Maya, on the other hand, is the golden child. She's finding herself, which is parent, speak for living at home for free while spending her part-time paycheck on designer shoes. My parents have always had this weird complex where they feel they need to overcompensate for Maya because she's more sensitive than I am. They told us that since it was their 30th wedding anniversary, they wanted to take the whole family on a 3-week tour of Europe. They talked about Paris, the Swiss Alps, and a Mediterranean cruise. I was ecstatic. I've been working 60-hour weeks at my design firm, and I was desperate for a break. My mom grabbed my hand and said, "We've worked so hard to save for this, and we want both our girls there to celebrate with us." I spent the next 4 months requested time off, buying new luggage, and researching every city we were visiting. I even offered to chip in for my own flights, but my dad insisted, saying this was their gift to us. Fast forward to 2 weeks before the trip. I went over to my parents' house for Sunday dinner, and the vibe was immediately off. My mom wouldn't look me in the eye, and Maya was being uncharacteristically quiet, scrolling on her phone with a smirk. After dinner, my dad cleared his throat and sat me down at the kitchen table. He started talking about how inflation has really hit the travel industry, and how the exchange rates weren't what they expected. My stomach dropped. I thought they were going to cancel the trip entirely. But then my mom chimed in, her voice all shaky and performative, saying that they realized they couldn't afford 2 extra tickets for the cruise and the high-speed rail passes. She said they had a difficult choice to make, and then came the bombshell. She told me that since Maya had never been out of the country and was going through a rough patch with her latest breakup, they decided she needed the trip more. They told me that I, being the strong, independent one, would surely understand. But it got worse. Not only was I not going, but they had a favor to ask. My grandmother, who owns the house I live in, was planning to move into a senior living facility that same month. She had decided to sell the house I was renting to help fund her care. My parents knew this. They told me that since they'd be away, they needed me to spend that 3 weeks moving all of my belongings out of my house and into their basement, while also pet-sitting their 2 dogs and managing the renovation crew they'd hired to ret-out their kitchen while they were gone. They literally told me that since I wasn't going to Europe, I'd have plenty of time to handle the moving truck and the labor. My sister actually looked me in the face and said, "It's actually a blessing in disguise for you, because now you don't have to pay for a moving company." I was numb. I looked at the 3 of them, my parents, who were choosing to spend thousands on a luxury vacation for my sister while I was being evicted and forced into manual labor, and my sister, who was literally wearing a new dress she'd bought for Paris. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just asked, "So, Maya gets the hotel rooms in Rome, and I get a moving truck and dog sitting duty. My dad had the audacity to say, "Don't be dramatic, honey. We're all making sacrifices." I realized in that moment that I was never a daughter to them. I was a convenience. I was the safety net they used so they could pour everything into Maya. I walked out without saying another word. For the next week, I played the part. I told them I understood, and that I'd take care of the dogs and the house. They were so relieved that they didn't have to feel guilty that they stopped checking in on me. They were too busy packing. But here's what they forgot. I am the one who handles my grandmother's affairs. I am her power of attorney because my parents are too emotional to handle her finances. 2 days before they were set to fly out, I visited my grandmother. I told her everything. My grandmother is a firecracker, and she was livid. She told me I didn't raise my son to be a fool, but clearly he's become one. She then reminded me that the basement my parents wanted me to move into wasn't actually theirs. Technically, the entire house they live in is still in my grandmother's name through a family trust, and they just pay the property taxes and insurance. My parents have lived there for 20 years thinking they owned it, but the paperwork was never finalized. My grandmother looked at me and said, "If they have enough money to take that girl to Europe while you're struggling, they have enough money to find a new place to live." So, that's the situation I was in. I was being left behind, expected to be the unpaid labor for a family that didn't value me, while they lived it up on a cruise. I had to make a choice. I could either be the bigger person and move into their basement like a kicked puppy, or I could show them exactly what happens when you push the reliable child too far. Before I tell you the absolute chaos that unfolded the day they headed for the airport, I want you to pause. Think about your own family. If your parents told you that you were staying home to move heavy furniture while your sibling went to Europe, what would you do? Go to the comments right now and tell me. Would you take the high road, or would you burn the bridge down? Because I chose the matches, the day of their flight arrived. My parents and Maya were all over social media, posting pictures of their pre-vacation mimosas at the airport lounge. They sent me a long text with the contact info for the tile contractors and a list of the dog's dietary needs, ending it with, "We'll bring you back a souvenir. Love you." I didn't reply. Instead, I called the moving company I had hired not for my stuff, but for theirs. See, my grandmother had decided she was done with the trust. She wanted to sell the big family house too and move into a high-end luxury suite in her retirement community. She gave my parents zero notice because, as she put it, they didn't give you any notice about your life being appended, did they? While they were somewhere over the Atlantic, I spent the next 48 hours in a whirlwind of activity. I didn't move my stuff into their basement. I moved their stuff into a climate-controlled storage unit. Every single thing, my mom's precious china, my dad's golf clubs, Maya's mountain of fast fashion clothes. Everything was boxed, labeled, and hauled away. I then moved my own belongings into a beautiful new apartment that I'd been secretly saving for, using the deposit money my grandmother returned to me early. But I wasn't done. I called the tile contractors and told them the job was canceled. Then I called the real estate agent my grandmother had hired. By the time my parents' flight landed in London for their layover, the "for sale" sign was being hammered into the front lawn of the only home they'd known for 2 decades. I waited until I knew they'd be checking their phones at the hotel. I sent a single group text. It read, "Since you couldn't afford 2 tickets, I figured you couldn't afford the upkeep on a 5-bedroom house either. Grandma is selling. Your stuff is in Unit 402 at the secure storage on 5th. I've left the keys with the neighbor. Also, the dogs are at a 5-star boarding kennel. I put it on your credit card since you had so much extra vacation money. Enjoy Europe. Don't worry about the moving truck. I took care of it. The fallout was instantaneous. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree. My dad called me 30 times in an hour. My mom sent me a video of her crying in a London hotel lobby, screaming that I was home. Sing them. Maya sent me a string of profanities, calling me a jealous freak, and saying I'd ruined the trip of a lifetime because now they had to spend their vacation time trying to find a place to live via the internet. I didn't pick up. I blocked them all. I spent the next 3 weeks in total silence, enjoying my new apartment and visiting my grandmother, who thought the whole thing was hilarious. When they finally crawled back from Europe shortly after cutting their trip down to 1 week because they couldn't enjoy themselves while homeless, they had to go straight from the airport to a storage unit. They're currently living in a cramped 2-bedroom rental, and the golden child, Meyer, is sleeping on a couch because they can't afford a 3-bedroom on such short notice. My parents have tried to get the extended family to shame me, but once I told my aunts and uncles the full story how they tried to make me move my own house while dog-sitting for their luxury trip, the support for them evaporated. My grandmother has officially cut them off financially, and for the first time in my life, I don't feel like the reliable one. I feel like the free one. Looking back, maybe it was extreme. Maybe I should have just said no, instead of orchestrating a total life collapse for them. But sometimes, when people treat you like a doormat for 24 years, you have to show them that even doormats can be pulled out from under their feet. It's been a month now, and I haven't spoken to them. I heard Maya had to get a second job to help with the rent, and honestly, I've never slept better. I learned that family isn't about who you're related to. It's about who actually has your back when things get tough. If they were willing to leave me behind during a crisis for a cruise, they didn't deserve a home to come back to. I hope the souvenir they brought me was worth it, because they certainly paid a high price for it. Like this video if you think I was right to stand my ground and give them a taste of their own medicine. Subscribe for more stories where the quiet one finally finds their voice. And please, I'm reading every single comment. Share your final thoughts on this whole mess. Did I go too far, or did they get exactly what they deserved? I'll see you all in the next story.